Hey everyone, it's Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, July 26th, here with a midweek market recap video. We're going to cover all of the major markets, the current market environment, and then finish off looking at some sector analysis. Now, as a reminder, if you guys like these videos, if you watch these videos every week, do consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's the bottom right-hand corner. You can click that subscribe button. All it does is keep you up to date with all of the latest videos that we publish throughout the week. And if you are new here, we do market recap videos on Wednesday, which is this video, and then we do them on Friday again for the weekend. So we do them twice a week, and then we put some trade ideas and some things in between those couple of days to stay fairly updated on a week-to-week basis. So do subscribe if you like the videos. For those of you who have already, thank you so much, and let's get into the video. So S&P 500 SPY ETF completely flat on the day here. You can see completely unchanged on the S&P 500. So the SPY ETF just going sideways right at highs, right at all-time highs, basically trading the same exact range as yesterday, as Tuesday's session, and again just hanging out here near highs. Now nothing has changed, right? I don't want to draw this out too much because these are kind of the same levels and same sort of facts. The market's not changing much. It's really in a slow summer grind, if you will, and not a whole lot has changed. So basically what we have here is bullish trend, bullish momentum. You can see, you could, maybe argue momentum slowing just a little bit here over the past couple of days. That's fine. But all in all, bulls are in control there on both the trend and momentum basis. When we start to look at breadth, also very constructive, particularly if you're looking at 52-week highs and lows. That ratio is actually kind of surged recently to favor the bulls, and as the number of 52-week highs has really advanced. The AD line, you could argue, again, slowing down maybe a little bit here over the past several days, but the trend is still very much bullish. There's really not too much to find fault with in the bull case looking at where we are right now. Now, does that mean that has to persist? Absolutely not. Tomorrow we could have a high volume, breakdown day, and all of a sudden we have new information and we adapt to that. But trying to predict that or trying to get in front of something like that happening just seems like it would be, it's not worth the effort. Nobody can actually come up with the timing on that. It's best to just wait for those signals to change and then start to adjust your plan accordingly. Certainly, that's the perspective of where I come from a technical price action driven trader. So that is probably it here. All I have to say on the SPY. We do have the VIX, which again still continues to be pretty historically low here. We are catching, if we look at VXX, if we look at those ETFs, which are certainly fairly horrible vehicles, but you can see they actually are holding green here for the past 2 days. So make what you will from that. One thing for sure is, if you are scared of this market, if you do want to put on some protection, you've really never had a cheaper time to put on that protection via the options market. So do consider that if you do find yourself too long, or if you're worried about a pullback, or if you're worried about this low volume grind that it could start to crumble down below us, then consider that protection there while it's going on the cheap. So that, I think, covers it for the S&P 500. Let's go to some of the other markets here. IWM was the underperformer on the day. You can see down minus 0.57. Nothing really structurally changing here, but just kind of giving up some of the gains from yesterday. If we zoom out here, you can see the upper end of this trend, of this channel, of this trend line here, has been pretty good at basically calling the inflection points or touch points here for the highs going back the past 7 or so months. We ran into it and we're starting to pull back off of it. So keep an eye on it. I mean, 8 and 20 still bullishly aligned, still in a bullish trend, still trading right near highs. So again, bulls have the benefit of the doubt. We still have a position here in the IWM directly, so we're still long. We're hanging out here. If we started to break below, call it 142, I think, as a tactical active trading approach, that would get me a bit concerned, but until that happens, or until we see a little more follow through or at least second day of selling pressure, we're going to just see if we can continue to grind higher here in the IWM. So bulls in control, get a position there. Qs very resilient here, a new all-time closing high here in the NASDAQ 100, super low volume, but again, not giving up any of this sort of parabolic V-shaped rally that we've seen off of the June lows. So this is holding up. 8 and 20 period still racing higher. So there's trend bullish, momentum's bullish. And again, we still have a lot of those earnings reports. I know we have Facebook today, which if I glance up and look, does look like, yeah, it does look like it's trading positive right now. So it's up about 1%, Facebook, and I'm sure there's others reporting. I just know offhand that was one of them. So anyhow, wrapping up the market recap, or I'm sorry, the market environment, things look good. They continue to look good. It's very quiet out there. It's boring. It's summertime, and we're waiting for signs of something to change. Otherwise, sticking with those short-term trends and these markets that are basically trading at all-time highs. So let's get into some of these other markets here. TLT getting a little bit of a rebound today, very slightly up, just green slightly on the day, up 20 cents in the TLT, but it was red earlier and it did kind of pop back up here. It still looks like it's in a fairly vulnerable state. I'm just very hands-off here, waiting to see how this all shakes out. Yesterday was the big day where we fell down minus 1.3% with this gap lower, and you can see we almost have this now series of lower highs starting, and it's going to be interesting to see now this inflection point, this 122, 123 area. These were the lows from the beginning of July. Can the bulls hold this level? Because if we start to break down below there, then we are going to have this lower high, lower low formation. We'll have the 8 and 20, which is going to be bearishly aligned, and then we're going to be falling back into this old range here below these highs from late 2016, early 2017 in this range. So that would just be a kind of a trifecta of a bad scenario here if we see more follow through to the downside in TLT. So something to pay attention to. Again, no position in this right now, but looks like there's some action there for you guys that are interested in that. You can play it via TBT or a handful of other ways if you want to play that short side. So that's TLT. Let's look at gold. Saw a nice bid today, up 81 basis points, engulfing the past 3 days of price action here. Again, you can see it was red on the open, gapped lower, and then just basically found a bid and rallied all day. So short-term trend ever since the beginning of July still remains higher. We get the bullish crossover here on the 8 and 20 period, and bulls still in control. If we look at silver, it's basically the same thing, engulfing bar today over the past several days of trading. You can see uptick in volume, lots of steady upside progress here. We just got the 8 and 20 cross here, so the short-term trend remains higher. So both gold and silver are working their way higher. If we go to oil, also continuing higher today, up 1.5%, taking out all of these prior highs here from July and this pivot over here, so this 960 general area. So that is kind of off to the races, moving higher here. You can see we've had a few of these kind of rallies here where we've seen, basically a just over a $1 move here in USO back here in March, higher. That ended up coming back, had about a $1 pop, came back down. This one, of course, now is getting a little more legs behind it. So something to be a little more constructive, a little more chop in here. So let's see if the bulls can continue to work this higher. The short-term trend remains up. 8 and 20 period is up. So there is some life there forming. We've been talking about that. We talked about this higher low getting in place, talked about taking out 960 to get upside progress. So if for your tactical traders, again, I think there's certainly opportunity here from a structural basis where we're trying to do that heavy lifting now to start to reverse perhaps a longer trend here, but it still has, bulls still have their work to cut out for them to really change those bigger trends. So that's USO. UNG, natural gas, continues to just kind of hang out here and move sideways, which frankly is fine for me. The longer this base and more sideways that it can really develop in, the more actionable a potential breakout would be. I'd love to see this tighten up a little bit more, but as long as it holds above the 650 area or at least 640, I think that's at least short-term constructive for UNG, and then we'll have to see if we can actually get a breakout to the upside, or if that doesn't happen, if this rolls over, then it's going to be pretty much continuation from this June trend lower. So something to pay attention to there, but a market that is consolidating, and I think that's it. So if we move into some of the individual sector analysis, we'll go to IBB first. This is, again, one of the leaders, and it continues to act well. It's still in this bullish trend. It had a little bit of a loud sort of reversal day yesterday on Tuesday, but there was no follow through today, so that's constructive to see. We're still long this, still have a position here in IBB. Took some profit on Monday, and or was it yesterday? Took some profit on one of these 2 days, up around 326 or so, 326 and change, and still have a position, a little more than half, I believe, still on, riding this trend. If this starts to see follow through down, or if it starts to, break back below 320 or so, then maybe that would be the time to exit for me. But for now, IBB still seems to be in a position of strength. We're looking to stick with this. XBI, you could look at it basically equally. It's the equal weighted, but equally is sort of constructive here on both of these. Next, XLK, very similar to the NASDAQ 100, still just very bullish here, trading at highs, new all-time closing high here, so very bullish on XLK, IBB. IYR got a nice little bump today, popping 0.5%. You can see it's still basically moving higher in this wide channel here, but found some support off of yesterday's lows, off of Tuesday's lows, got that thrust higher, and looks like it's trying to clear these recent highs here from July. So a little bit of a pop there in IYR, and very similar XLU, also seeing that pop, very rate sensitive sectors, so we could see this getting a nice bid here as well. On the downside, the only thing that I'm still paying attention to is IYT. So IYT here, again, we put out that blog post not too long ago, but basically it broke back below these highs here, the breakout level from earlier this year, from this March high, and we are now back below it. I don't think it's, I don't think we should write it off for dead here. We do see a little bit of an uptick in volume on this recent sell-off here, but let's pay attention to it. Let's see if we can get this back above 172. If we can, then maybe that's just a nice little pullback, kind of false breakout, shakeout, however you want to look at it, and then you get some opportunity of potential rotation or just a pullback trade in the IYT. So that is something that I am paying attention to, but for now, still vulnerable. I'm not touching it, but if we can start to get back above these moving averages, back above 172 or so, then it starts to get a little more interesting. So that, I believe, is it. That's all I had for today's video. So a little bit shorter. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope you're staying awake during these summer sleepy hours. And that's it. So thanks for watching, and talk to you guys again soon.